Oh, hello! It's Bible Class Betty, and today we're diving into a story full of courage and prophecy and a surprise heroine with a tent peg. Let's see how God uses Deborah, Barak, and Jael to deliver Israel and sing a victory song. Well, before we dive into today's lesson, we need to take a moment to look at our vocabulary. You see, the Bible uses words that we might not hear much anymore, or sometimes, why, they mean quite something different than they used to. So let's make sure we understand them first. That way, the message will be even clearer. All right, let's get started. Our first word is abandon. To abandon means to give up completely, to stop something altogether, or even to desert someone or something. That's abandon. Our next word is captive. Captive. Well, captive means someone who has been taken and held as a prisoner, often during a time of war. It is not just being stuck somewhere, it is being held against your will and unable to go free. Captive. Our next word is the word cease. Let's take a look at the word cease. Why, it means to come to an end. It's when something stops happening, like when rain finally stops falling. It ceases. Curds. Now here's a word you don't hear every day. Curds. Curds are soft, white substance that forms when milk begins to sour. It's one of the first steps in making cheese. Back in Bible times, people didn't have refrigerators, so they used what they had. Milk would naturally separate into curds and whey. Descendants. We've seen this a couple of other lessons too, haven't we? Remember, descendants means someone who comes from an ancestor, a blood relative from a later generation. So if you have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, they are your descendants. In the Bible, we often read about descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's a way of showing how God's promise and blessings were passed down through families, generation after generation, for 50-some years. Descendants. Embroidered. Embroidered. Well, that's a lovely word. Why, embroidered means something that has been ornamented or decorated with needlework. It's when someone uses thread to stitch beautiful patterns or designs into fabric. In Bible times, it would indicate wealth or status if you had your clothes embroidered. Inhabitants. Inhabitants. Why, inhabitants means people who live in a particular place, whether it's their home, their town, or even a whole country. They're not just passing through. They are there regularly, routinely, and for a good stretch of time. Kinsman. Kinsman. Why, kinsman, that simply means a relative. Someone from your family, It could be a brother, a cousin, or even someone from your extended family. In Bible times, family ties were very important, and your kinsmen were the ones who shared your heritage and often your responsibilities. Kinsman. Lattice. That's not lettuce, it's lattice. Well, a lattice is a structure made of crossed strips, usually wood or metal, that form a kind of open pattern. You'll often find it over a window, a door, or a gate. It lets air and light through, but it still gives a bit of privacy. Lattice. Oh, mallet. We still use mallets today. Why, a mallet is a hammer, typically with a barrel-shaped head. Mallet. Noble. Noble. Our next word is the word oppress. Oppress. Oppress means to crush or burden someone, especially through abuse of power or authority. It's when someone in control tries to use their position to make life harder for others, usually unfairly. That's oppress. Well, our next word is prophetess. Prophetess. A prophetess? Why, that's a female prophet, someone who God chooses to speak his messages. Sometimes, though, in the Bible, the term prophetess can refer to, well, the wife of a prophet. Prophetess. Oh, what about rout or root? Why, root would usually mean to drive someone out by force, usually in battle. It's when an army is defeated and forced to retreat, and in the confusion or disorder, oh, why, it's not just, well, being a loss in battle, it's a complete scattering. Rout or rout. Spoils. Spoils. Well, spoils refer to plunder taken from an enemy in war. We might call it loot today. After a battle, the victorious side would often gather together goods, animals, or treasures left behind by the defeated army. These spoils were sometimes shared among the soldiers or dedicated to God. Spoils. Subdue. Subdue, why, that means overcoming something. Something often in battle or to bring it under control. In the Bible, you'll see this word when God's people take possession of the land, when someone brings their enemies or even their desires into obedience. It's about gaining control, not just with strength, but sometimes with discipline and purpose. Temple. Oh, in this case, we're talking about the temple on your head, not a holy building. It's that flat space on the side of your forehead. It's found in humans and on some animals, right between their eyes and their ears. Temple. Tent peg. Tent peg. Why, a tent peg is a pointed piece of wood or metal that's pushed into the ground to hold the corners of the tent in place. It keeps the tent steady, especially when the wind blows. Tent peg. Oh, they must be very strong. Torrent. Torrent. Well, a torrent is a rushing stream of water. Fast, powerful, often sudden. It's not a quiet trickle, but a strong surge, like when heavy rains cause water to pour down the hillside or flood a dry riverbed. That's a torrent. Well, in today's lesson, we're going to learn about Deborah. She was a woman who led Israel. She is referred to as a prophetess, much like Miriam, remember, the sister of Moses, or Hannah, the mother of Samuel. A prophetess can be a woman who is a prophet, or it can be the wife of a prophet. Isaiah referred to his wife as a prophetess. Now, Deborah is a leader who is also very musically talented and seems to have no fear. The people adore her. They even cloaking the hill country of Ephraim to receive her advice and her leadership. Apart from a miracle, what can she do about the cruelty of Canaan? Well, we'll read along today and find out. But first, we're going to review those chapter rhymes from the first few chapters of Judges. Israel continues their work. It was not done. More to conquest in Judges chapter 1. Generation who served the Baals now grew, but leaders are raised in Judges 2. Ehud thrust a sword through Elog's belly. A great story in Judges 3. Well, we need to know when chapters 4 and 5 take place. Most Bible scholars say they took place somewhere between 1450 BC and 1000 BC. The events in Judges 3 were spread out over at least 145 years. In Judges 4, the king of Canaan had oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. Well, who are we going to meet in chapters 4 and 5? Well, starting in 4, we're going to meet Jabin. He's the king of Canaan. And we're going to meet Sisera. He's the commander of Jabin's army. And then there's also this woman named Jael. She's a Canaanite woman who offered refuge to Sisera, Jabin's head of command, in her tent. Oh, it's exciting. There's a few more people we're going to meet in this lesson. One's going to be Ehud. Why, see Ehud over there with his sword? He's the second judge of Israel, and God uses him to deliver Israel from oppression of the Moabites. That was in chapter 3. Well, this chapter we'll see Deborah, who she's going to be the fourth judge of Israel. She will be the wife of Lapidoth, and she sat under a palm tree in the hill country of Ephraim and judged the people of Israel, why they would come from long distances to hear her wisdom. Well, and then there's Barak. He was a man from Kadesh Naphtali, and he led the Israelite army in their victory over the king of Canaan. Oh, so let's get started with these wonderful stories. Where are we, you ask? Well, Barak gathered the Israelite army at Mount Tabor and fought the Canaanites near the river at Kishon. And Jabin ruled over Canaan from the city of Hazor. Oh my! So open up your Bibles to Judges chapter 4 and we'll get started. Well, here's my Bible. Do you see there's words in blue? If those words are in blue, it means it's a person. And if the word is in green, that's a place. If we see words that are yellow highlighted, that's going to be someone talking. And if it's red highlighted, it's God talking. And on this page, I see a couple of words that are in bold. Why, those are simply numbers, so we make sure we understand what's going on in our passage. Let's start off with chapter 4, verse 1. And the heading there is Deborah and Barak. And the people of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord after Ehud died. Oh, and the Lord sold them into the hands of Jabin, the king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. And the commander of his army was Sisera, who lived in Harosheth Haggayim. And the people of Israel cried out to the Lord for help, for Jabin had 900 chariots of iron, and he oppressed the people of Israel cruelly for 20 years. So after Ehud had died, Israel once again did evil, and again the Lord allowed them to fall into servanthood. Oh, every time Israel falls into sin, they wallow in their misery for a long stretch, and each time it gets longer and longer before they think to call God. First 8 years, then 18 years, now 20 years have passed before they remember the Lord. Well, now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel at that time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the people of Israel came up to her for judgment. In this era, a woman would not have been in any level of leadership, so there's no dispute that Deborah must have been exceptionally talented and capable, and that Deborah is introduced here as a prophetess and a judge. Why, that means she could fiercely declare the words of God, but she could also stir up the people to fight at the appropriate time. Remember how God uses unlikely people? Oh, you're in for a big one this time. She, Deborah, sent and summoned Barak, the son of Abinoam, from Kadesh Naphtali. Remember, he's the general of Israel's army, and said to him, "Has not the Lord God of Israel commanded you?" And here's what she quotes God saying to him: "Go, gather your men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 from the people of Naphtali, the people of Zebulun, and I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the river of Kishon with his chariots and his troops. And I, God, will give them into your hand." Oh, Deborah had sent for Barak, and one of those cities of refuge. Did you notice he was from Kadesh in Naphtali? And she tells him what two tribes to pull the fighting men from: Naphtali and Zebulun. Both of these tribes were geographically located where they would have received the brunt of Jabin's harassment. God promises through Deborah to lure this enemy into a trap and bringing ultimate destruction to Sisera and all his troops. Verse 8, Barak said to her, "If you will go with me, I will go. But if you won't go with me, I will not go." And she said, "I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the road on which you are going will not lead to your glory. You're not going to get credit for this, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman." Then Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh, And Barak called out Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and 10,000 men went up at his heels, and Deborah went up with him. Well, like Moses, who was once hesitant about leading, Barak struggles with feelings of not being good enough for the job. So, Barak would share the honor of this great victory with a woman. Now Heber the Canaanite had separated from the Canaanites, a descendant of Jobab, and father-in-law of Moses, and had pitched his tent far away as the oak of Zenaim, which is near Kadesh. So, in anticipation of the story to come, we're first introduced to Heber. And Heber is the husband of the heroine you are about to meet. Heber has separated from the main body of his clan, and he settled near Kadesh, Barak's hometown. Verse 12, when Sisera was told that Barak, the son of Abinoam, had gone up to Mount Tabor, Sisera called out his chariots. Remember those 900 chariots of iron? And all the men who were with them from Harosheth Haggazim and to the river of Kishon. As soon as Sisera was informed of Barak's activities, he starts to move towards the river. Sisera gathers more troops, complete with those iron chariots. And Deborah said to Barak, up, for this is the day which the Lord has given Sisera into your hand. Does not the Lord go out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him. And God routed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army before Barak by the edge of the sword. And Sisera got down from his chariot, and he fled away on foot. And Barak pursued those chariots and the army of Harosheth Haggazim, all the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword. Not a man was left. With Deborah's assurance, Barak marches forward straight towards Sisera. The Canaanites abandoned the security of their iron chariots and ran in a panic. They are not as invincible as they thought they were. And every last one of them dies at the point of a sword. But Sisera fled away on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber, the Canaanite, for there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and the house of Heber, the Canaanite. And Jael came out to meet Sisera and said to him, turn aside, my lord, turn aside to me. Do not be afraid. So he turned aside to her into her tent, and she covered him up with a rug. So Sisera's high-tech military machine had been derailed by heavy power he had not even anticipated. Sisera ran to save his own neck, leaving his army to flounder on their own. Well, Jael, the wife of Heber, offers hospitality to Sisera. She gives him a place to hide out until the heat is off. No one would search in a woman's tent for an outlaw. Covered with a rug in a place in the corner, he would never be found. And he said to her, please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. Well, she didn't just give him water. She opened up a skin of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. Oh, good. Now his tummy's full. He's warm. And he said to her, Stand at the opening of the tent. If any man comes and asks you, 'Is anyone here?' say, 'No.'" But Jael, the wife of Heber, took a tent peg. Remember, they're made out of wood or usually iron, and took a hammer in her hand, and she went softly to him and drove a tent peg into his temple until it went down in the ground while he was fast asleep from his weariness. So he died. And behold, as Barak was pursuing Sisera, Jael went down to meet him and told him, "Come, I will show you the man whom you are seeking." So he went to her tent, and there lay Sisera, dead, with a tent peg in his temple. Oh, the details of this deception unfold slowly and suspensefully, like a good mystery novel. Sisera asks for water, but Jael gives him milk. He trusts her kindness and is worn down from battle, so he soon falls asleep. Jael is familiar with the tools needed to set up a tent. The tent pen and a mallet were tools she knew how to use. This wasn't the traditional method of killing someone, but there would be no doubt that Sisera wasn't brought down by a professional soldier. So on that day, God subdued Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the people of Israel. And the hand of the people of Israel pressed harder and harder against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan. So Sisera died in the hands of a woman, a reality that brought embarrassment and disgrace to that culture. Jael's act is methodically described, but the victory is just as deliberately given to God. Israel's destruction of these people is so complete that the king of Canaan never again appears in Scripture. Let's see if we have a rhyme for this fascinating chapter. To drive a tent peg must have been a chore, but that's what Jael did in Judges 4. Good job. Well, let's continue reading in Judges chapter 5. Well, in Judges chapter 5, we'll learn a little bit more about Jabin and Sisera, Barak, Deborah, and Jael. These events happened right after chapter 4. The Song of Deborah and Barak. Then sang Deborah and Barak the son of Abinoam that day. The leaders took the lead of Israel, that the people offered themselves willingly. Bless the Lord. Hear, O kings, and give an ear, O princes, to the Lord I will sing. I will make melody to the Lord, the God of Israel. Oh, chapter 4 gave us the report of God's victory over the Canaanites. Chapter 5 gives us the same story using poetry. This song begins and ends like many psalms with a call to worship. This song isn't just for the Israelites to hear. It is even for the surrounding nations to listen to and stand amazed at what God has done. Lord, when you went out from Seir, when you marched from the regions of Edom, the earth trembled and the heavens dropped. Yes, the clouds dropped water. The mountains quaked before the Lord, even Sinai before the Lord, God of Israel. Here we get a review of where they came from, including Mount Sinai, where God gave them the law. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, the days of Jael, and the highways were abandoned, and travelers kept to the byways. The villagers ceased in Israel. They ceased to be until I arose. I, Deborah, arose, the mother in Israel. When new gods were chosen, then war was in the gates. Was shield or spear to be seen among 40,000 Israel? Next, it tells us of those bleak days before Deborah, who is referred to as the mother of Israel. This is a title of respect and distinction. What an honor! Verse 9, my heart goes out to the commanders of Israel who offered themselves willingly among the people. Bless the Lord. Tell of it, you who die on white donkeys or who sit on rich carpets, and you who walk by the way. The sound of the magicians at the watering places. Oh, there they repeat the righteous triumphs of the Lord, the righteous triumphs of his villagers in Israel. Oh, then down at the gates march the people of the Lord. Deborah expresses gratitude for all the leaders who pulled together and proved faithful in this time of crisis. Why, they responded to Barak's call and aroused the people with their positive example. Deborah does not, though, lose sight of God, who was the author of every blessing. She calls the attention of the people, those who ride donkeys and musicians, to tell the triumphs of the Lord. Deborah is shown in the best light of all the judges in this book. She had an innate sense of what was her responsibility and what belonged to someone else, the Lord. Take a look at her multiple titles and abilities. Why, she's a prophetess. She's a mother of Israel. She's an arbitrator. Why, she's a leader. She's a military strategist. She's a lyrist and a songwriter. All those titles appear to describe Deborah in chapters 4 and 5. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, break out in song. Arise, Barak, and lead away your captives, O son of Abinoam. Then down marched the remnant of the noble. The people of the Lord marched down for me against the mighty. Deborah's song might have been a war song, for Barak is the next on the list. And his charge is to chain up the captives who appear to be ready and waiting. Israel will now rule the same mighty nation that had once ruled them. From Ephraim, their route, they marched down into the valley, following you, Benjamin, with your kinsmen. From Maker, they marched down the commanders, and from Zebulun, those who bear the lieutenant's staff. The princes of Issachar came with Deborah, and Issachar's faithful to Barak. 10 of the 12 tribes will be mentioned by name in this passage and the next. 5 and a half responded favorably to Barak's summons. Ephraim, Benjamin, Maker, that's West Manasseh, Zebulun, Issachar, and Naphtali, those who volunteered first to receive the first mention. There is praise for these tribes and for their leadership, their diligence, their courage, and cooperation. Into the valley they rushed at its heels. Among the clans of Reuben, where there were great searchings of heart. Why did you sit among the sheepfolds and hear whistling for the flocks? Among the clans of Reuben, there was a great searchings of heart. Gilead stayed beyond the Jordan, and Dan, why did he stay with the ships? Asher sat still at the coast of the sea, staying by his landings. Zebulun is a people who risk their lives to death. Naphtali, too, on the heights of the field. Well, Reuben, Gilead, that's Gad from eastern Manasseh, Dan and Asher were criticized for not joining in their countrymen. Judah and Simeon are not mentioned in either listing. The kings came. They fought. Then fought the kings of Canaan at Tanakh and at the waters of Megiddo. They got no spoils of silver. From the heaven the stars fought. From their courses they fought against Sisera. The group came to fight with Sisera, hoped to leave with rich booty from Israel. They didn't receive coins or particles of silver because the heavens themselves, God was fighting against Sisera. The torrent Kishon swept them away. The ancient torrents of Kishon march on, my soul, with might. The loud beat of the horse's hooves with galloping gallop of its steeds. Well, during the summer months, the Kishon River would have been a mere stream, making it an excellent place for iron chariots to cross. But to the Canaanite surprise, the waterbed filled up, and their chariots got stuck in the muck, causing mass chaos. The very thing they counted on for victory, their chariots were now their own death traps, proving once again God is the God of the universe and that all things are under his control. Curse Meroz, says the angel of the Lord. Curse its inhabitants thoroughly, because they did not come to the help of the Lord, to the help of the Lord against the mighty. Most blessed of women be Jael, the wife of Heber, the Kenite, of tent-dwelling women, most blessed. Well, the curse on Meroz is a direct contrast to the blessing on Jael that follows. There is no further record of Meroz in history. Most likely, Meroz was a town located along the route of Sisera's fight, whose inhabitants made little effort to capture or kill him. But Jael, why, she's praised above all other women. When she had an opportunity to act, she didn't hesitate. He asked for water, and she gave him milk. She brought him curds in a noble's bowl, while she set her hand to the tent peg and her right hand to the workman's mallet. She struck Sisera, crushed his head. She shattered and pierced his temple. Between her 2 feet he sank. He fell, he lay still. Between her feet he sank, he fell. Where he sank, there he fell, dead. In the end, Sisera was just plain dead. In a straightforward act, doing what she thought she could do, Jael liberated an entire nation. Oh, out of the window she peered. The mother of Sisera wailed through the lattice. Why is his chariot so long in coming? Why tarry the hoofbeats of his chariots? Her wisest princesses answered, oh, indeed, she answers herself. Have they not found and divided their spoil? She's thinking Sisera already won and wants to know why he's not home yet. A womb or 2 for every man. Spoil of dyed materials for Sisera. Spoil of dyed materials embroidered. 2 pieces of dyed work embroidered for the neck as a spoil. Why, Sisera's mother worries about why he is taking so long to return. Her maidens comfort her with the thought that, he must be deciding what souvenir of war to bring back to her. Sisera's mother dreamed of slaves and garments and ornaments. These passages give us insight into the other side, and demonstrate the impact of Jael's accomplishment. So may all your enemies be, O Lord, but your friends be like the sun as he rises in his might. And the land had rest for 40 years. There is no concluding statement about the fate of Sisera's mother, but we assume she met her downfall along with all the other enemies of God. This is the kind of power Deborah desires for all who love the Lord. That strength to do the right thing. God will strengthen those who love him. And the final sentence resumes with a statement of how long the land of Israel remains at rest. 40 years of peace. God had used another unlikely leader, a woman. God uses the unlikely not to pump up their self-esteem or give them bragging rights in front of the haters, but that pride is that worst kind and fleeting at best. But to God, he reveals himself at work. He reveals his heart for the overlooked. It's not even that he sees potential in these unlikely leaders because it's not potential, it's reality. He created it. So he gets the credit and the praise. We love stories of underdogs becoming champions and unlikely leaders and bring him glory. But they also bring us joy because the point is always him. Let's see if we have a rhyme to remember chapter 5. Deborah and Barak sing a happy jive, celebrating the Lord, and Jael in Judges 5. Well, I found a few cartoons with this one because it had some pretty funny parts. Are you ready to see what other people found creative humor in? Let's take a look. Jael's buying a tent and she says, do you have anything longer? Oh, it is kind of funny. Oh dear, there's poor Sisera. Have you ever woke up with a splitting headache? Well, Sisera did, except for the whole waking up part. Well, dear ones, what a powerful journey we've just taken through Judges 4 and 5. Oh, we've seen how God raised up Deborah, a wise and courageous woman, to lead his people, and now how he used Jael in a moment of bold obedience. These chapters remind us that God can work through anyone who is willing, no matter their role or circumstances. And then in chapter 5, we hear a song of victory, a celebration of God's deliverance and the faithfulness of those who stepped forward. As we close today, let's remember when we trust God and act in faith, he goes before us. Whether we're leading like Deborah, supporting like Barak, or seizing the moment like Jael, we each have a part to play in his story. Let's be ready and have our own song of praise for the victories he brings us. Now, if you're in my class, make sure you grab those study guides and you finish your chapter questions for Joshua, chapters 21 and 22, and then work on those chapter headings, all the headings for Joshua, plus Judges 1 through 5. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.